Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Stop Shitting on Yourself. I'm Jessica.
And I'm Jamie. How's your week been, Jessica?
It's been good. I have to put a PSA out there because the past week I've talked to like 3 different coworkers already who are feeling under the weather. Oh. And I think it's because like we were so used to being home for a whole year that like now that we're vaccinated, hopefully everybody's been vaccinated at this point, that we're going out more. And maybe our like immune system's just not used to all these things now.
Maybe. I mean, quite possibly.
PSA, I don't know, be careful, like germs and whatnot, but be careful, man, because people are getting sick. That's not good.
And you just don't know whether that's COVID or just like the regular cold or flu. Yeah. Like we have no idea anymore.
So yeah, be careful. I don't even want to think about being sick right now.
I know, right? And it's like the worst time to get sick because now in California, the weather is warming up, at least during the day. So it's like the worst time to get sick. Let's not.
I know. So be careful. What about you? How are you doing?
I think good. I mean, I have to confess that I am part of the group that has been going out a little bit more. So I might need to take your advice and be a little bit more careful. But I have been going out a little bit more, especially to the gym, because I'm trying to get this body ready for a hot vax girl summer body. Okay. Yes. So trying to get ready for that. But yeah, man, I've been going to the gym a little bit more often, definitely wearing the mask and taking all those precautions and everything. But I have to tell you, Jessica, maybe it's because I have been kind of quarantining, like self-quarantining, I guess you can say, and social distancing, not really dating either, just kind of scrolling through apps, but not really, you know. I've been doing that for a whole entire year now ish. Yeah. And maybe it's because of that when I go to the gym, I'm here like, wow. Wow, you're cute and you're cute.
Everyone's cute.
Look at you, you're cute too. But the thing is, I can't tell whether they're actually cute or not because of their mask. I can't tell.
At least like, you know, above the ass. Above the mask.
Not a Freudian slip there. What do you think about, Jessica? Is that what you look for in a man? You look at their ass?
I mean, apparently.
Hey, you better tell Lawrence to like work on his ass during the summer.
No, above the ass. Apparently.
Oh, that's so funny. That is so
funny.
I don't know what you're
with this. Oh, I was thinking about
Jessica.
I was gonna say, at least above the mask, they're cute. Like they got cute eyes, you know, and cute abs, maybe.
Maybe, and nice arms, right? Like
exactly.
Okay, so that's what you meant. Okay. I mean, I guess you can kind of tell, but you kind of can't too, because when people take their mask off, sometimes they look really different. They look really different. And they might have like nice eyes and brows or whatnot, but you just really can't tell what somebody looks like with their mask on. But I mean, yes, you're right. Like you can definitely see how physically fit or not fit they are. So I'm here.
That's a very interesting point. I wonder, like, now I'm wondering if I look cuter with a mask on or not. I'm gonna like, should we try this?
Do a quick poll.
Yeah. With or without mask?
Which one's better? Yeah. So I don't know. I've been just kind of, I guess my eyes have been wandering as I go to the gym, but I mean, at the same time, it's weird to like approach somebody and just say like, hey, and strike a conversation, because who wants to actually do that at the gym? You know, everyone's like working out. I don't feel comfortable when somebody approaches me while I'm working out. I have one goal in mind, and that's to like work out, you know? So
true.
I haven't, made a move on anyone yet, but man, my eyes are definitely wandering at the gym.
So do you think you look for different things now that you can't see, their nose and their mouth? What physical traits or, traits in general are you looking for?
A really good question. I think still being single, late 20s, still being single. What do I look for? I mean, I guess because everyone has their mask on now, first of all, I look to see whether they're wearing their mask correctly, because you would be surprised, Jessica. Some of the cute ones do not know how to wear their mask. Like their mask will slip and fall and they don't mind. Or they're like literally going around the gym without their mask on. They have a chin mask and that's it.
That's not cute. That's not cute.
It's not cute. So I look for that, number one. But number two, I think I definitely look for height, because I do, because I do want somebody who is taller than me when I'm wearing heels. That's just what I look for. Okay. I also look at ass a lot. I do.
Is that like a before COVID thing too? Like you just generally?
Yeah, I would say so. I think I always did look at, people's bottoms. That sounds so weird when you say it that way. But yeah, I do look at ass, because I mean, hey, it just means that like you got a nice ass. That means you work out, like you probably got nice legs, like, and I'm attracted to that, but I think that was always the case since way back when, as far as I can remember. But I definitely think some things have changed as a late 20-year-old, as opposed to when I was in my early 20s. So one thing's consistent, I still do look at ass. Okay. Ass and legs, I still look at that, right? But when I was in my early 20s, I never really looked at like height very much, or someone's face, or how they looked like. I didn't really care too much about that. But in my late 20s, things have turned around. Things have changed.
Ooh,
I'm here
okay.
like, okay, I do care about height. I do care about looks up to a certain extent. Like I have to be attracted to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. Some things that I look for physically have changed so much now that I'm in my late 20s. What about you? Early 20s versus late 20s. What do you think?
I definitely feel like before I started dating, like high school Jessica, I feel like you fantasize like your first boyfriend, right? You fantasize your first significant other, and it's like the most impossible, like out of this world. Like they gotta be the smartest person in the world. They, they have to be like super tall, super handsome, know how to dress themselves. I don't know. I'm sure if I like had been able to talk to my like high school self, it's like a laundry list of things I looked for. Not to say my first boyfriend wasn't that. I think it was probably different from my laundry list of checklists.
All right. Okay.
But yeah, I do think that when I was in my early 20s dating, I looked for a lot more like physical things that you can kind of check off the box, in my late 20s, I feel like it's less that. Like I definitely, I would love to be attracted to you. I'm very much attracted to my husband.
Right. As you should be.
Exactly. Like you're growing old with that person. Like you want to look at them, be like, I still love my man because he looks good. But yeah, I definitely feel like the older that I got, maybe more towards like late 20s, I looked for other things on top of looks. Like physical is important, but not as important as, when I first started dating in my teens and late 20s.
Really? That's so interesting, because I feel like for me, it's totally opposite. Like I didn't care so much about looks or, style. I mean, hey man, like when I think back to what I looked for back then, it was a lot about like, hey, personality, like looks don't really matter. It's all about the personality. That was me then. Now it's very different. I'm here like, you know what? I still do look for the personality, but I still want somebody who's good looking as I still want somebody that I am really attracted to. And I think my standards have definitely changed. I definitely want somebody who, I want to be dating somebody who can actually dress themselves and like look nice, that like to look nice. I like men who like know how to take care of themselves. Like they're well groomed, their nails are clean, right? Like all of that. I look for that because I feel like at this age, you should be able to do that. Like you're at an age where you can actually provide for yourself now, hopefully. Right. So hopefully now you're actually taking care of yourself so that, I don't know, that you like look nice. I don't know. I feel like it's a form of self-care,
Yeah, it totally is. I feel like I don't know about you, but like when I
Mhm.
first started dating, it's like, oh my God, he treated me out to dinner. That's so nice. That's the perfect
Right.
boyfriend. Or like, oh my God, he has a car. He can drive me places.
Yes, yes. That was exactly it when I was in my early 20s too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So maybe that's more like surface level standards. And now it's definitely different.
What? That is true. Like, I feel like in my early 20s too, I did look for those surface level things, despite having this mindset of looks don't matter. It's all about the personality, right? Despite that, I did look for somebody who did drive, did they drive a nice car? Were they well educated? I don't know, did they pay for dinners? Like, did they give me some nice gifts? Like, did they treat me very well like that?
Mm, mm, mm.
But things have changed. I mean, obviously, I love that still, but but there's so much more that I look for in a person now that I know is so much more important when you're looking to date and settle down as well.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, and I think you mentioned a really good point. It's like when you're dating versus when you're like actually thinking about settling down,
Yeah.
or just dating for the long haul. It's not like, oh, I'm just dating to date, but you're dating for something else. And I think that's a very different conversation going in.
That's so true. Because in your early 20s, you're just kind of dating people to date. Not always, but most of
Yeah.
the time, that's the case, right? Because you feel like you have so much time ahead of you.
What was I thinking?
Right? You're here like, oh, I have years ahead of me. Like, I'm going to go around and date people because that's also the advice that I got from like older adults. They
Mm-hmm.
said, date as many people as you can to get
Yeah.
experience. And I think that there's some truth in that where you do gain a lot of experience. You understand what you want a lot better once you start
Yep.
dating more
Mhm.
people. But you feel like you just have so much time. So you're kind of
Oh
dating because you
yeah.
like them.
Yeah.
And then
No, it's so true. I feel like you're dating just to date, and then kind of like what we've talked about before, like you just gotta drag it on. So you don't have that many years when you think about it. And you don't really have that many years to, or that many like multiple 2, 3 years to like really figure out that relationship. And it sucks because I do think it takes a while to actually get to know someone.
absolutely. So I have a question for you. How long do you
Mm.
think it takes for somebody to kind of get to know somebody at a point where you're like, oh, I want to continue this relationship or not? How long do you think it takes? How many months,
Mm.
maybe, or years?
Okay, this is what I used to tell people, and this is what I used to tell myself. It's like, if you've been in a relationship for 3 years and it's not going anywhere, um, get out. Because if you haven't
Okay.
decided if you want to stay with that person 3 years, into that relationship, like you're not going anywhere. And I get it. There's like circumstances, that some people are just sort of they like that dating phase, and it's fine. But for me, it's like if you've been in that relationship for that solid amount of time and you don't know if you want to go to the next step with them, like you don't.
Right. And I think it depends on what you're looking for. But I think what we're talking about right now is like if you're looking to settle down with somebody, if you're looking for like
Yeah.
a forever ship, you're looking for your lifelong partner, then yeah, the 3 years, okay, totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do think it takes some time to like develop that relationship so that you're comfortable enough to be yourself, essentially. I feel like it probably takes like at least 6 months to start slipping a little bit. Like you're not really trying to impress each other anymore. So you're slipping a little bit here, slipping a little bit there. So like maybe 6 months. I don't know. What about you?
I would kind of like to push it a little bit more, add on like 3 more months to that. So I would say 9 months. And
Okay.
here's why. I feel like the first 3 months are super honeymoon phase, right? Like you're talking, you're texting, you're calling, maybe, right? If you have the same, energy and you reciprocate your feelings towards one
Sure.
another.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Everything's going well, right? And you're trying to impress them or you bring out your best self for them. It's great. 3 months, awesome, right? I think by the sixth month, you're right. Like things start to kind of slip, but that's still also when you're trying to be your best for them. That's what I feel like. I feel like 6 months, half a year, like you're still kind of in that honeymoon phase, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
But when it hits 9 months, I feel like people get really comfortable. At that point, you're a lot more comfortable with that person. And that's when you kind of see and maybe find out a lot more triggers of
right.
that person. So that's when things get a little bit more like personal. I think more like arguments might come out if you have disagreements. Like people start to show more of their true selves at around like the 9-month mark is what I think.
Okay. Okay.
So you might understand whether you want to be in the relationship with that person for a longer time at that point. But I agree with you. If you've been in a relationship for like 3 years and you don't know where it's going, but you want it to settle down with this person, then get the out, right? But I would even say like after a year and a half, if you don't know if you love this person, if you don't know whether that person loves you, like, like where is it going? Nowhere. So move on. You don't have that many years.
That's true. And I mean, I do think a big part of it is like you have to have those conversations because I feel like, maybe in my earlier 20s, it was a very uncomfortable topic to like straight up ask someone like, so where is this going? Like what's happening, and maybe it is because you think like, oh, you have more time, so you just figure it out later. Yeah, but no, I think now my suggestion would be just to be like just to talk about stuff. Like ask those hard questions. Figure out like past the likes and dislikes. Like, can you talk about deeper things with them? Can you talk about what's going
Right.
on in the world with them? Do they understand
Mhm.
where you're coming from? And I think like back in the day, and I'm thinking like, when I grew up, it's like it's still really weird to be talking about politics and social movements and all those things with your family. Like it's definitely taboo to talk about it with other people. But even within your family, it's kind of like a weird thing to talk about. Like you don't, it's like kind of weird to ask your husband, like, oh, who'd you vote for?
Is it though? I feel like if you can't ask that, why are you husband and wife?
Well, I feel like that's how it used to be, that's how it used to be. But now I feel like we've definitely made it more okay, if not encouraged, to talk about those things, have an open, discussion about it. And I think, it's okay if you disagree on certain things, that's totally fine. But it's how you deal with those differences, I think, to
Very
me is more
true.
important when you're looking for, someone to spend the rest of your life with.
That is so true. And I think that's something that I look for now as a late 20-year-old, thinking about who am I going to date? I don't want another dating ship. I don't want another texting ship. Like, that's not what I want. So if that's what you're trying to do, don't count me in, leave me out of it, you know? But that's also something that I do look for. Like, can somebody actually hold on a conversation that does have to do with a heavier, maybe more controversial topic? Can we
Yeah.
talk about that? Do you even read? I think that's another thing. Okay, so let me just backtrack because now I'm just like, creating a whole list of what I look for now. But I think in my early 20s, I wasn't thinking about I was thinking about personality, yes, but in terms of like kind of more superficial stuff like humor and are they a good person? Are they kind? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I still look for all of that and and more and more. Like I don't think I'm asking too much, to be honest. I think I'm just like looking for somebody who can be my like partner, right, and kind of like meet me where I'm at, but also like grow together. And so now I actually look for people who are emotionally intelligent
Yeah.
as well and emotionally just like available, because let me tell you, Jessica, let me just tell you, so many men out there, they say that they're emotionally available. They act as if they are emotionally available. However, all they want to do is make sure that your pants are available to bring down. Okay. Like, I don't think that they're very emotionally available or even emotionally intelligent or like in touch with their emotions. And some might say that they are, but it's like, well, I don't see it. I don't see that from you, because when we talk about things that are triggering for you, when we talk about like your past maybe or different traumas, like, well, first of all, is that conversation even there? And second of all, like, do you even recognize that? Are you self-aware enough? Have you done the self-work? And I think
Mm-hmm.
now I look for that in a person. But if I were to talk to like young, early 20s Jamie, I don't think she would have understood. Like, what? Why would you look for all that?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, I think that's really true because it's, you have to go through, I feel like, several relationships to even know to look for, those signs. Um, and maybe we were just, not even old enough to comprehend what that means because at the time that wasn't our priority.
That's so true because I feel like now as a late 20-year-old, you're ready to kind of unbox that yourself. And so as an early 20-year-old, I don't think like you're ready for that. I don't know, maybe your brain isn't ready to unbox all the different traumas, childhood traumas that you've had, or even just like different triggers that you've had, or maybe you go through different experiences. And as a late 20-year-old, you're like, oh shit, okay, this is what's affecting my current mood, state, well-being now. Um, but yeah, I don't think like in the early 20s, I don't think I was like ready to unbox that even for myself. So if I can't do that myself, how am I looking for that in another person?
Yeah, yeah, true, true. Yeah, and I mean, I don't even think like, if I were to tell my 20-year-old self that, I'd be like, whatever, you don't know what you're talking about.
I know, right? It's like, no, actually, this is what matters. Can they provide for me? Okay.
Yeah. Can they treat me out on a date? Like, So I think we've gotten to that point now where our prioritization has shifted.
So
Like, if you
true.
think about what was important to us back in the day, right? Why does this make it seem like we're so old?
But we're not,
Back
girl. We
when
can't say that.
we were in college, okay, we were looking for someone who can buy us booze. We were looking for someone who can take us places.
Yeah.
Who'll pay the bill, who'll buy us flowers. But like now, I can buy my own flowers. I can buy my own alcohol. I can do all of that. Um, but now I think I when you start getting into like the working world, um, there's a lot of prioritization that you have to do. One of it is, are you emotionally ready to be in a long-term relationship to prioritize not only yourself and your mental health, and are you able now to prioritize someone else's feelings and mental health, but also how are
Exactly.
you juggling that with a full-time job, with
Right.
bills to pay, with all of these other things? Like, how are you prioritizing that? And I feel like that's a conversation that I wouldn't have in my 20s.
Right. Because in your 20s, you're not really thinking about all that. Or sorry, in your early 20s, you're not thinking about all that.
Right, right. And there are definitely people who, even in their late 20s, like they're not ready to settle down because maybe they want to focus on their career, maybe they want to focus on, some other things before they want to settle down. And that's a conversation that I now know how to have, but I wouldn't even think about that before.
Yeah. And that's so true. I think you bring up a good point. Like, what are they prioritizing and how are they prioritizing their, I guess, life in general? But, like the relationships, are they emotionally available to actually think about another person too, on top of their own goals and ambitions? And if they're not, are they communicating that to you as well? Like, because you just got to be honest with yourself and know where you're at and not lead somebody on if that's where you're at.
There's one thing I would want to say, because I feel like maybe it's the media making it okay, but I almost feel like some people use it as a cop out to be like, oh, I want to focus on my career. That's why I don't want a relationship. I think, don't come for me. But I think that I could be very much prioritizing my career. My other half can be very much prioritizing their career. It doesn't mean you're not emotionally available for the other person. You just have to have that conversation. But I feel like too many people almost use that as like, oh, I just want to prioritize, my work, so I don't have time for you. Like, no, you just don't want to make time for me.
That is actually very true. I feel like all situations differ once again. However, I totally understand what you're saying because I have run into people who have actually said that before. And it's like not just one person, not just two, but like multiple people. And I'm here like, I'm also here trying to work on my goals too. I'm
Yeah.
trying to find somebody who's going to work together with me. Like we both have our own goals and ambitions, but I want somebody who's able to communicate their needs while they're working on their goals and ambitions and while they're trying to attain that, so we can work together as a power couple. You know what I mean? Like that's what I
Yeah.
want. But I totally understand what you're saying because some people do use I'm like the whole saying of I'm quote unquote working on my career and I want to advance in that. So I don't have time to be in a relationship, or I don't, I can't be thinking about another person at this time. I think people do use that excuse sometimes because I think deep down they're just not like ready to be in a vulnerable and intimate space with somebody else. And that could stem from like past relationship trauma that they're not ready to unbox yet. And maybe they subconsciously don't even know that, but they feel that way when they're in this dating ship, because it's like, oh, maybe things are actually getting serious. And then it's your brains and your heart's like defense mechanism and like builds that wall and says like, hold on, let me just shut this person out. I need to focus on my goals. And that's something that people can actually control, right? Like your goals, your work, and how well you do in that and how well you succeed. That's more in your control, as opposed to like a relationship. You can't control somebody. You don't know what their mood's going to be like. And so you kind of do have to like work with that. And some people aren't ready for that kind of intimate relationship. So they use work as an excuse, something that they can control. And I get it. It's like, okay, cool. That just shows me that you're just not emotionally available right now to be in an intimate relationship. And that's totally fine. Just, like I'm gonna move on, but you're right. So many people now actually do use that to, I think, to not confront things that are going on inside them.
Yeah. To not confront their own emotions.
Yeah.
And I think another good point that you bring up, it's like a lot of times in relationships, you can't control the other person's like emotions, and you don't things go on in everybody's lives.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like in my early 20s, or when I first started dating, I didn't know a healthy way to confront situations. I didn't know healthy ways of resolving things that come up in a relationship. I'm just the type of person in my early 20s, I would just like hop in a car and I would drive away.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to have those confrontations.
Right.
Or like, when you're in an argument, you don't know how to properly articulate yourself, and why you feel that way. And, it just ends up being maybe like a screaming fight or, whatever. But I feel like now in my late 20s, I've hopefully gotten a lot more in tune with myself and how I like to problem solve. But that's something that I definitely look for in my other half. It's like, how did they confront situations? How do they problem solve, especially when things are not going their way?
Exactly. And I think it's because we've grown, right? Like not in age and not just in height or like in width, whichever, right? But not just that, but because we've had like self-growth and we've done the reflection and we're still continuing to self-reflect, still continuing to grow and better ourselves, we look for that now in our partner. Because back then we didn't do that self-work, at least not enough for us to even know that that was something really important. Because now that we know that it's important for us, we want it in our partner too. We want someone who's at the same level,
Yeah.
Right. And so yeah, you definitely want someone that you can grow with, that can also challenge you and that you can challenge, vice versa. But it's like a lifelong partnership, and that's what you want and need. And so if you've done the self-work, you want someone to be there with you.
100%. And look, like, again, we're not here to give advice, because people look for a lot of different things in relationships. Like, this is what we're looking for, but there are other people that looks for, maybe financial security, maybe someone that's just emotionally there. There's like, it's so much in between. And, it really just depends on what the two people are looking for in a relationship. And that's just what we're looking for.
So hopefully, Jessica, like you're not looking for.
Yes. I have found.
Yes. So you have your husband, you have Lawrence. But even I feel like when people do settle down, right, hopefully you do have a partner that will continue to learn with you, and continue to like self-reflect and, continue to be emotionally available and intelligent. We need that. Okay. We need that. I don't want anybody to be like all caged in and be like, Like you
No, I think it's true. Like everything that you said is true. And I mean, obviously, I think I've settled down because I've found that person. And I know that I can grow with him and have those difficult conversations or challenging conversations. Like there's definitely times where he challenges and I may not like it, but hey, at least he's challenging me and I feel like I'm continually growing as a person, which is great. But I
yeah.
think from just talking, today, something that I realized is like you can't really put a relationship in a box, right? You can't have checklists. Like, yes, have standards, have the
Yes,
things that are
totally different.
your non-negotiables. Like, make sure you know what those are, and I think you'll start to sort of develop those like non-negotiables as you start dating different people.
Definitely.
But also just be open to change as well, because what you're looking for in your in your late teens versus early 20s versus late 20s, and I'm sure that's going to continue to change as we
Right.
grow older.
Yeah,
um
I mean it's natural, you know.
yeah, and I think we've talked about this in the past. It's like some people they grow together, and there are definitely couples that grow together, and there are definitely couples that grow apart. And you just have to figure out what your non-negotiables are, and then figure out how to grow together. um
But yeah, I absolutely 100% agree. Like you will have non-negotiables, and that's something I feel like you learn through experience,
yeah.
because
Oh
there
yeah.
are some that you know right off the bat, right? But there are some that you actually realize, oh wow, I really don't like this because I've been in a relationship with a partner who has done this to me and I felt really uncomfortable and it just didn't work out because of that, right? So then you start to develop these non-negotiables. However, I think it's really important for us to like also think about ourselves, know that we're not perfect either. We're not always the catch that we think that we are. Okay.
What are you talking about, Jamie?
I mean, okay. I mean, like, let's be real, right? Like everybody has their flaws. Everybody has their traumas. Everybody
Yes.
has their past experiences with at least one horrible, like whatever ship. Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, everybody has that one.
Right. And so because of these experiences, we might just like curl up in a ball whenever something triggers us or lash out when something triggers us. But we know hopefully better now that there are better ways to react to those triggers and, those, I guess, similar experiences. But I would say that, definitely be flexible as well and be understanding because people do come with their traumas. At least at this point in time, if there's somebody who is absolutely perfect and does not come with any baggage, there's something completely wrong with them. They live in a freaking like
Does not
unicorn
exist.
candy caught whatever heaven. I don't know. Okay. Like they are not of this world. Obviously, they're an alien in disguise because nobody at this age, at our age, and even beyond, has no trauma. Like, absolutely no way. But at the same time, like, have they grown from it? Have they self reflected? Have they learned to kind of better themselves and react better? Or, I guess, like, kind of understand that situation and that part about them now is what I look for. And that's actually kind of really hard to find and even understand it if that person has done it in the first like 9 months.
But also, like, can you deal with it, and do you want to deal with it? Because I think that's a
Yes.
whole, I mean, it's a whole separate conversation.
But you have that choice too as a partner, as someone who's
Exactly.
looking for someone. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, relationships are hard, but
Oh my God.
we've talked about it before. Relationships are hard. They're hard work, and they're not like, once you figure out one, equation, it's just something else happens and you grow, and you just keep working on it. And unfortunately, that's just the truth of relationships. I don't ever want to like discourage anyone from trying to find their other half, but
Right.
at the same time, I think that that's a very like real situation as we're going into our late 20s and maybe just looking for someone to settle down with. It's not just yourself anymore. You're dealing with 2 times the emotion, 2 times the baggage. And
Right.
sometimes it's just having those really, really hard conversations.
That is so true. And you got to sit down and like look at yourself too. Like, well, what did I do in this situation? What did they do in this situation? And it's like, it's a really hard conversation because it unlocks so much within you and your partner. And hopefully you do find somebody that you can have these conversations with, where you can grow together and you support one another. And that is what I'm looking for, but it is damn hard. Let me tell you, like dating late 20s is not easy. Okay. Not easy. Whew.
Yeah. Especially when you have work. So it's like, who are you meeting outside your coworkers? And then you're tired. So you just want to go home. You want to sleep.
And then there's a pandemic.
Exactly.
Usually I'd go out and meet people in real life, like in a random bar. I'd be like, hey, you are random. You're kind of cute. Can I approach you and hit on you? Can I say hi? Holla, right? But not now. Not now.
And it's not like, we can erase the past 2 years and say like, we didn't, we just like stopped aging for the past 2 years. We just kept aging.
Don't remind me. I mean, we're still young. We're still ridiculously young, Jessica. I mean, like anyone who listens to this and they're in their 30s or 40s, they're gonna be like, these girls are nuts. They are crazy for thinking that they're getting so old. Because we're not
old. I mean, it sometimes feels that way because I think it's the whole reflection phase. Joint pains. No, but I think it's us now being able to reflect back, and we are now able to say like, oh, that was how I was when I was younger. Yeah. And it's not necessarily bad. And I'm sure 40-year-old Jessica is gonna look back and be like, girl,
remember that podcast that we did?
You had
how young and dumb were we? Relationships are so difficult, right? There's no like one right answer. Like you said, everyone has a different need, right? Yes. And so if you find somebody who fulfills the need that you want and we're looking for, that's awesome. And there just kind of really isn't just one right way to do relationships. It's just so freaking difficult. So as long as you find the right person to do it with, awesome. Like that's what I kind of want. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? One day, God, one day, Lord, you're gonna bring that to me. Thank you.
Yes. We're putting it out in the universe now. No, we'll look back in a year.
Manifest it. So true. All right. Well, that is it for today. Once again, this is not an advice podcast. So, no. But if you found something really helpful, that's awesome.
Yeah. That's great. Even if you did not, let us know how your, like things that you're looking for in your early 20s have changed. Maybe it's still changing. Like check us, let us know. Maybe you're in your 40s and you're like, you don't know half of relationships. And I'm sure that's true.
So true. Like if you got to check us, right? But let us know in the comments, hit that like and hit that subscribe, and we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.